Alright, so last video I suggested this guy was a little sus. Jumping down with no info, this felt strange. Many of you chalked it up to just being in the center, or perhaps he had the FPS drop glitch, yada yada yada. And look, I'm not a person that tries to call everyone cheaters or sus. I think I've reported maybe 2 players in the run-up to this video. That has since changed, and today we're going in as a spectator to see if we can earn that juicy reward from SDF himself.
If we make that system, we will give the reward for them. If you're
Oh,
catching
okay.
the cheater, then you can
Maybe
get
a
the
little blue shard.
I'm not gonna lie, blue shard's probably not gonna cut it. One thing I will point out, we found a lot of people just shamelessly teaming. People that had good gear and didn't need to do this. Also, I was in a couple of TTV lobbies, let's say, and the stream sniping was pretty blatant, and this is probably a topic for another day because I have some footage on this, but let's just say the lobbies don't feel like Dark and Darker. We'll move on from that and talk about it another time. Today we're focused on something I thought was really interesting and something I've been curious about, but I'm not really familiar with this world. And I thought it'd be cool to show everyone kind of what it's like on the other side. Pretty eye-opening when you see just how hidden it can be. So we got a couple good rogues. I was very new to this whole thing, and this was before the recent changes to the lobby systems and HR and whatnot. But 125 plus lobbies are full of really geared players. And where there's gear, there's going to be people that want that gear for whatever reason. So I was pretty new to this, and I started this one off just like checking everyone out. I noticed there was a fight happening, which was kind of surprising to see this many players this close together so early on fighting, but their gear wasn't really that insane. I give the rogue credit for trying to fight these barbarians with next to nothing, but I was looking for whatever. Like, am I looking for aimbotting? Am I looking for reach hacking? I wasn't really sure. But then I started to kind of pay attention to some of the guys on the fringes. We kind of just had some people hanging about. And these are the guys you have to be careful of. The guys that are kind of on the fringes. Making moves, you know, sliding around, staring at walls, doing things they probably shouldn't be doing. So up until this point, nothing really suspicious. Just trying to get a feel for what's in this game. Don't see any reach hacking or aimbotting or whatnot. Honestly, this guy just makes a really bonehead play and gets stabbed in the face. So I'm like, well, he's an idiot. I don't really want to watch him. Let's go back to see if anyone's picking off these guys at opportune moments. And it just straight up looks like good Dark and Darker gameplay. Then I go back to this guy. He's being a little suspicious. And I was like, okay, he's just hearing things out, you know, making some good decisions. He takes an odd little glance at the wall with really no reason to do that. And that's when I started to become a little more suspicious. Even like scanning around this room without any intel. Like, what's the point of turning around and staring at that wall? And then this moment's kind of subtle, but it is impactful. Kind of strange. It's almost like he knew that guy was there with no intel. He opens the door, takes a quick little glance up once he switches to his ranged weapon. And then lo and behold, there's a guy where he was pretty much already looking. And from this point on, I was extremely sus. All this stuff's happening, this guy's just like perfectly trying to third party it. And it was becoming increasingly suspicious, let's just say. And maybe he saw that guy somewhere along the lines, I don't know. Maybe that's a common spot to check with your hand crossbow. I have no idea. But it gets worse. It gets worse, trust me. Goes back to his room, does a quick little glance, you know, scoping out, making sure he can perfectly third party this fight. He sees the ranger or whatever there on the left, but I think he actually misses it, or just doesn't expect an open door. He reacts to the door opening before it actually happens and backs off. Once again, putting himself in a good position. He's not really worried about the ranger, I don't think. He wants to kill whatever guy has gear that's running around in that group there. Now he's straight up gone, which I was confused by this, and I realized quite shortly after what had happened here. Yeah, the rogue had got in front, and he just, once again, timed that perfectly to go close the door on the rogue rather than letting him into his room. Scanning around, I don't know how he discerns that there's actually a guy underneath, or that there's a guy all the way in cave troll room, but once again, perfectly timed. And this is like minor stuff. Like you wouldn't really notice this if you're playing the game, or you're in there, you're fighting people, stuff's happening, a rogue just randomly shows up, and you're kind of thinking like, damn, what unfortunate timing. Well, it's just very convenient timing, of course, because a little too convenient. He actually gets super close to death here. It's crazy. But I'll speed this one up and show you guys some more spicy stuff. I would cut some of this, but I want you to see the whole exchange. This makes it way better. So he comes up, and once again, you could just chalk this up as like, oh, he got lucky, or it was just a good read because that rogue was in the room before. Rogue styles on him big time, and I think this guy just considers giving up entirely because of that. Just the huge balls in the guy to do the old backflip onto the ramp again. Completely outplayed him. Now, another important note about all this. Usually people that have this stuff happening, they know the geared players in the lobby. This rogue that he's looking at doesn't have an insane amount of gear or anything really to be worried about or care about. So he doesn't want to really kill this rogue or fight this rogue. And this is something you'll see often. They will avoid the lesser geared players or even try to team with them, focusing on the really geared guys or the juice or cheese, whatever it is. Now this is important, this moment. He's a little bit distracted, and then a kill on the kill feed snaps him around. And he manages to look perfectly in the direction of another player. Not only that, but opens the door, pushes this guy, is fully ready for a fight, and from what I could tell, he had no information that this longsword fighter was here. And another important moment arrives right now. A quick glance behind. That's going to be important for what comes next. He's got this guy, pretty much pre-fires him. He was waiting for a more opportune moment, but he had to do this because look what was behind him. Oh, imagine that. He's getting pushed by a ranger. This ranger obviously forced his hand the second he turned around and spotted him through the wall or door. You couldn't hear any of the audio of that ranger, and he obviously knew as well that the ranger wasn't super geared, so he could probably kill this fighter if he did it quickly and then deal with the ranger after the fact. But it was crazy. Like, we'll watch it again here. The split-second decision to push that fighter happened immediately after he turned around behind. Most players, if you heard somebody behind you, you wouldn't engage the fighter and then get third-partied. You'd kind of like be shocked or reposition or whatever, but the decision-making is just always so perfect. And don't forget what I mentioned earlier. These guys were some of the most geared guys in the lobby. Not insane stuff, but this was pretty much why the rogue was in this game, why he was hunting these individual players, why he waited patiently during all those fights he could have engaged with, or the times he could have killed the ranger or the rogue or whatever. There's so many little decisions that are made with additional information that can seem subtle, but they are very, very important in the large, grand scheme of things when it comes to Dark and Darker. It's crazy. I have seen more of this stuff. I will probably post another video about this, and I might even go a little bit into some of the stream sniping stuff I'm seeing and just the overall impact stream sniping or just like having TTV in your name can have on a lobby. It's insane. And if you're consistently in lobbies with other like larger content creators or whatever, just by chance, it does not feel like the real Dark and Darker. Let me just confirm that. I'm not a huge streamer, I'm not a huge content creator, but there are some very, very large differences between how a normal Dark and Darker dungeon operates and how a streamer lobby operates. There are so many guys that just want to fight the streamer, either using cheats or not, but also people that want to help the streamer, whether it be teaming or basically donating full kits of gear, inting into people that are their direct counter. It's awkward and insane, and trust me, I've witnessed it even the few times I tried spectating games. So, hopefully you learned something from this. This was not me trying to like expose Dark and Darker for having a ton of cheaters. It was a way to just demonstrate what to look for, I assume a lot of people are not aware of, judging by the amount of comments or people in Discord or YouTube comments, whatever, suggesting this just doesn't happen. Maybe people are complaining more or whatever. It does happen. And I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna sit here and talk about how many games it took me to find this, but maybe we'll do a little bit more digging and I'll show you guys some more stuff that I found. Appreciate you all. I'll see you in the next one. If you want to report this guy, go ahead. I already did. And this will be the evidence, I suppose, of why I reported them. So cheers, keep the dungeon safe. We are now policing this place via spectator mode. Please, Iron Mace, let me spectate HR. Bye-bye.